I'm going to do another video. This video is on tree building. I build a lot of different kinds of trees, from super trees to natural armatures to evergreen trees. Um, it's an economical way to do a layout, especially the larger the layout you get, the more economical it is. This video will be on a twisted armature. I'm very new to doing YouTube videos. I'm not as polished as a lot of guys that are out there, so I will be wearing different shirts and different hats and be filmed at different days. As I get a little more expertise and a little more practice, I'm sure they'll get better. But I hope you enjoy this video. None of my techniques are solely due to me. Again, I mine YouTube for ideas and Facebook for ideas, and then I just try them out. And the whole purpose of this channel, what I'm looking for this to be, is like you're going over to hang out at your buddy's house to work on your modeling. And he just saw a video or he's trying something and he's sharing it with you. That's what I want it to be. I want you to come here and just like you're hanging out in my train room and we were just talking about stuff and working on projects. So I hope you enjoy the videos. I promise, or I hope to promise, they'll get better. And I'll catch you on the other side. This is a project I've been working on for a little while. It's a twisted wire armature tree. I'm going to do more videos on this. But while I was working on something else, I hit it with a coat of flat Rust-Oleum primer. The next couple steps are to give it more color, probably some browns and grays, and try to work in some of the twists. I made a mistake when I did the initial twisting here on the bottom. It has more of a threaded look than I really would have liked, and that was purely how I wound it together. So I learned something new every time I do these. I'll be using leftover Scenic Express tree material and super gluing it to the branch structure all in here and using that to fill it out, and then Super Leaf by Scenic Express to do the foliage. This is a little big for my scale, although I probably will find a space for it in the foreground of my layout. I've been working on various sizes of trees depending on where it's placed on the layout. As an example of what I do with differences in tree sizes, I've brought you over to the layout. You can see here, these are some larger spruces. These are made with air fern, and then they are covered with static grass. They're a little large, but for the foreground, I wanted it to look like you're looking through the woods back towards the distance. If you look up above, there's much smaller trees as you go across the back. I'm going to continue work on this tree. I watch a lot of YouTube videos for a lot of tips and techniques. I don't always watch model railroad videos. I actually don't watch a whole lot of model railroad videos. I watch a lot of the guys who do Dungeons and Dragons terrain and wargaming terrain. Most of the ideas I got for doing this tree came from those sites. Sites like Geek Gaming and Black Magic Craft and Real Terrain Hobbies do these kinds of things all the time. One of the things I picked up from those sites is using a cork. Those guys use a cork and they glue their miniature figures to it to do painting. All I did is just dabbed my favorite super glue, which is this Loctite. It's a gel, and I get it from Lowe's and Home Depot, and I just put a smear on the top of this, and then I'm letting it dry. one of the things I did have to do is I had to flatten the end because it wouldn't sit flat. It had kind of a dome shape to it. So I hit this with rattle can primer. Again, I really like Rust-Oleum, the 2X. It works really great. What we're going to do is a little bit of dry brushing tonight. Tree color is really, really difficult. People think of trees as black or gray or brown. In reality, they're really most of those colors. And unless you're going to do specific species, it's going to be very difficult to get it exact. Most evergreens are a little darker. Most deciduous are more gray. I'm just going to do pretty typical dry brush. I'll load up my brush and get most of the paint kind of worked through the brush. I'll start working it in through the trunk. One of the things we'll do is we'll go back through and we'll dry brush some white on this, or gray, light gray. I'm trying to hit these high spots, get some color variation. I'm going to get down on the roots here. Get on the branches. Like I said, the way I twisted this, I really gave it a more threaded appearance than I really was looking for. I'm working my way to filling it in. I put many coats of liquid latex over the top of this to build up and smooth out the, so you didn't see the twists. We're just working our way up in the branches, trying to get rid of that mono, kind of that mono color of the primer gray. Again, I really like the line of Rust-Oleum paint. They have paint that you can use on like PVC lawn furniture, and that works really nice because it's meant to flex and it's very durable. I use it for all sorts of stuff, including the mortar lines for brick buildings and trees. A lot of times when I do trees with like Scenic Express Super Tree, I will spray the foliage with a couple of different greens that they have. They have a moss green and they have an oregano that I really like. So that's the first color. Give this a little shake. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit more gray, but there's always brown and grays kind of mixed together. This is burnt umber. Pretty much the same color. It's a little bit darker. The other color is espresso. Again, hitting the branches. In all likelihood, this tree won't make it to my layout because it is definitely more of a front yard tree than a woods tree with the big wide spreading branches. As I make them for my layout, I'll make them narrower and more compact like you'd find in a forest. Make sure I get the branches. So it's definitely less monotone. Make sure I get underneath the bottom here. I like craft paints a lot for this kind of stuff. They dry fairly quick and they are very, very cheap. They work great for scenery, they work great for all sorts of stuff. But the best things are they dry really quick, and they are dirt cheap. So now the next step, I've got a couple different grays I'm going to try. This is a dark gray. There's a lot of ways of doing dry brushing. I pretty much make it up as I go along, although it does not hurt to do your darker paints in the back and then successfully lighter as you go. It works towards making the highlights, but like painting rocks and anything else, there's lots and lots of ways to do it. And different modelers will swear their way is the absolute best. Other ones will tell you, no, that's not the right way. The way I do it's the right way. So really it's kind of up to you. So again, I'm just going back over this, just less actually on this, just toning down a little bit where maybe the brown is a little thick in here. Just kind of touch it up. What I'm trying to do is pull the paint down and not go around the threading, quote unquote. The next color I have is a lighter gray. Again, I'm going to work it into the brush on this little piece of paper towel. You can see these streaks. It's giving it a really nice kind of highlighted, weathered appearance. Kind of a mottled. One of my favorite trees is the sycamore tree. With a straighter trunk, you could definitely do a sycamore. They have or a London plane tree. They have a really variegated kind of dappled bark. It's very distinctive. They grow in wetlands a lot. My creek bed here on the farm is just full of them. I'm a land surveyor by trade, and I spend a lot of time in the woods, and it helps me immeasurably as a modeler. So again, going through some very light touches. Don't want to go crazy. Don't want to obscure everything that we did already. Just want to give it a little color. In this case, when you're starting to lay this really lighter gray on, what you want to do is you want to get that on. You want to be visualizing where the light is. That's a little heavy in there. So the light's going to be coming down from the top. I'm going to get this edge right here a little bit too. On the roots a little bit. I'm going to go back over these roots with some greens for moss. Probably going to do a little bit of green on the trunk of this tree. Kind of spotted. So now, for the final, I'm going to use this dark green. It's called Campground. I'm going to do it really light. Just drop in there. And what I really want to do is get all in this trunk structure and out on these roots a little bit. This is yet another trick I picked up from the D&D guys and the wargame guys. They do a lot of much darker than model railroading, much grayer, lots of moss. But I thought it was a really interesting way to kind of paint on that. They also do these a little different. Their scale is much bigger. I'm an N scale, so it's very, very, very small what I do. A lot of what they do is much bigger, so they actually apply a surface to their trees using ground foam. I've actually seen some HO guys do it too, where they actually apply a surface of ground foam or sand, lots of other stuff. I really think that it would be, in my scale, really overblown if you tried to do that. So I just strictly went with the latex and the paint. I don't know if the camera's going to catch this green, but there's just some light green in there. Just a little bark, a little moss on the bark, a little bit more down on the roots. I gotta say the wine cork really works great for holding this. And I used super glue, which I can then just sand off, and I'm sure my wife will be more than happy to provide me with more wine corks. So this is my bag of scrap as I process trees down out of the box of Scenic Express Super Trees. I just throw them in a Ziploc bag and throw them off to the side. What I've done here on the table is I've sorted out all sorts of small pieces. Kind of pre-sort them because it's kind of a quick process and I want to be able to lay my hands on them. I've got them kind of separated out. There's really no exact science to this. What you do want to do is get them in and get it kind of full, and you kind of just go as the tree goes. One of the things I do to save money on a lot of things is save small cups. This is Italian ice cups. My kids love these. So does my wife. And so I just use them. They have a recessed top. And so I just take my super glue again. I can keep from knocking this tree down all the time. And just put a pool. A little bit at a time. So you don't waste it. Take this piece of foliage. So this is Super Trees, but it's also known as seafoam in the gaming hobby. You're just gonna drop it wherever you can where it makes sense. It's a little fiddly. You don't really care about the colors not matching because I'm going to go back through and match the colors. I don't really use an accelerant. I probably should. I've never messed around with it. One of the things I read is that you can use alcohol as an accelerant. It's less expensive. It's probably something I should mess around with. The pieces are very fiddly because they're dry and they're springy and they want to just flip around. Obviously, if you started with bigger pieces of this material, you can cover a lot more ground, but again, this is found material. This is stuff that normally would get thrown away. I'm a big believer in getting the most bang for the buck you can out of your hobby materials. Let's face it, these hobbies can be expensive. And I'd rather save the money for the big tickets and save money as I go. And you can see that it's starting to fill out the branches. You gotta be pretty patient working through this step. It's worth it in the end. I've built lots of trees using Sagebrush Armature. I went to a local train show this weekend and scored just an amazing deal on Sagebrush. It was like regularly priced $27 a bag. They were opened bags, but there must have been at least 10 really good sized pieces in one bag and one huge tree, like a G-scale tree, which I can make probably 10 trees. I could probably get 20 trees out of the first package and another 10 trees, and they wanted $1 for the bags. I about broke my arm getting my money out. So again, you gotta give it some time to set up. This would be where an accelerant would help, or help it set a little faster. So I'm gonna work a little slow here. I'm gonna get another clump right in the center, and then I'm gonna let this sit a little bit. And what I'll do is, when I finish it, I will come back and show you where we are. And I think I might try a little alcohol. So I went all the way through the rest of the tree, adding foliage. And you can see it's all glued onto the ends. You don't have to go crazy because you're going to be flocking this also. I just hit it with some gray primer to kind of fill in everything and cover up the white spots from the super glue. I learned a new trick with this, that if you dribble isopropyl alcohol on it, it will set the super glue faster. It does turn it white, so you're going to have to go back and touch it up, but I was able to do quite a bit of leaf structure. So right now this is going to dry, and once it's dry I will start flocking it. I'm going to use Super Leaf from Scenic Express to do this, and once it's all done I will hit this with a can of clear spray varnish so it seals it and makes it more durable. Just going to move this around. So far, very happy with it. I think it's going to be way too big for me to use anywhere on my layout. It takes up a lot of real estate. I'm very happy with it though. I'm happy with the way it's turned out, and I can see that the proof of concept is correct. So I'm just looking at it right now. I might have to do a little more touch up right in here with the gray paint. Down in there you can see just a little bit of white, although I don't really know. Same thing kind of in there. I might be able to just hit that with a brush instead. So today I'm going to work on flocking the tree we've been working on. This is Scenic Express Super Leaf, which is a dyed sawdust. And I used to make my trees using ground foam, and I actually like using this better. It has a better texture, although ground foam definitely works. This is the spring green, and I also have a moss green, and I also have some fall colors. Fall is very difficult to do right, but another modeler that I met on the internet gave me some ideas, and it does much better. The other thing I use is just Suave Extreme Hold. When the tree's done, I will give it a coating of matte clear to fix it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the this tree. I'm going to put a little something down to keep my brand new mats from getting all covered in hairspray, and I'll be right back with you. So I've got our armature, and I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of hairspray to start. And really get on that. Do the heavy coat. It usually takes a couple applications of this and the super leaf to get it to really get where you like it. You could use spray adhesive, but honestly, hairspray is water-based and doesn't make the mess that some of the other stuff does. So, a tree like this is going to use a whole lot of material and probably going to take a couple good coats. So I'm going to apply this, and then I'll be right back with you. So I went over the whole tree with super leaf. This tree is really large, and it consumes an enormous amount of super leaf. Much more than if you were doing just a regular couple trees for your layout. So again, it's a very large tree, too large probably to use on my layout, but it was a proof of concept. One of the things I'm doing is going through wherever there's any of this leaf stuff on the branches, trying to get some of it off. This will have to dry and set a little bit, and then I will hit it with the matte sealer. But that's it. That's a wire armature tree, and kind of a long video, but there was a lot to cover. I'll work on editing down my videos as I go. But thanks for watching, and I hope you learned some things. I did for sure. Like I said, this is a monster of a tree. Alright, have a good day.